Hello Jimmy Wood and welcome to Doctor Who Weekly Reviews for Season 8, Episode 3, Robert to Sherwood. And what do I think of the episode? Well, I thought it was generally quite an entertaining episode, to be perfectly honest. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. This episode is more of an adventure one kind of thing. You've got the idea of robots, you got knights, you got the idea of Robert Hood in this episode. Is he real? Is he, just a story? What's going on with that character in a sense? You got Peter Capaldi, which is on fire in this episode. I felt this episode was very, very different. It was definitely more of the light-hearted, classic Doctor Who, in a sense of, more used to, I think, from the modern series. I thought the first two episodes, of course, directed by Ben Weasley, were much darker. They were good in terms of setting up this new Doctor character, challenging him. He faced the Daleks again within the second episode. He was really questioning himself as the Doctor. Is he a good man? Doesn't know who he is quite yet. We know he's a more colder, more brutal, more of a grittier Doctor. This episode allowed it to chance, basically give the actor, Peter Capaldi, and to show this Doctor exactly what, who is he on his more of a lighter side in a sense, And straight off the bat, I felt he was fucking hilarious. It was really well written in terms of just, spot on getting that character right. I felt he was very Scottish, again, very blunt in terms of just quick to insult someone. I felt that the setup was just really, really funny in terms of he's just if you keep talking, I'm gonna punch you practically, like a proper Scotsman. And I thought the banter between him and Robin Hood's character back and forth throughout the episode was hilarious. He's constantly trying to prove that he is not Robin Hood. He's got to be a robot. He's got to be fake. He's got to be this. Got to be that. You can't be real. I like the fact that he's just trying to take blood samples off people and say you're going to die in 6 months. I just like that kind of cold nature and that very Scottish, straightforward banter. It's very different from David Tennant and Matt Smith's era, where they're more kind of silly and banter, and David Tennant's more just about the tie and trying to be a bit more slick and cool. Peter Capaldi hasn't got time for this crap. He's basically saying, you're still my TARDIS, I'll punch you, and it's I don't need a sword, I've got a spoon. And they managed to mix his version of the Doctor with a more of a lighter tone, and it worked really well. In my personal opinion, I felt it was great to have a darker, moody Doctor, but it was great to have just a classic, just episode of the week, have a bit of fun, the Doctor, show him a bit more of his comedy side, and it was generally quite funny. I felt that it was done really well in terms of writing the character of this new Doctor, so spot on for that remark. Robin Hood's character, of course, the actor who played him, I felt was really well done as well. It really bantered back and forth between, of course, Peter Capaldi's Doctor and Clara Oswald as well. I felt Clara in this episode definitely had a chance to shine a little bit more. I felt her dialogue was definitely a lot better, especially going up against some of the villains later on. I felt she was quite funny and quite witty in some of the dialogue sequences. She just loved the fact he'd proven the Doctor wrong, and of course, the Doctor's furious, no, you can't be real, and she's trying to prove every left, right, and centre, throughout the opening of the episode. I felt there was definitely more of a reason for her to be here. It was just an episode where she's like, I want to see if Robin Hood's real, and it's just a classic fun Doctor Who episode. The villains of the episode, on the other hand, weren't so special and just typical, B villains of the week practically. I got Ben Miller in this episode, which I felt was better than I thought he was going to be, perfectly honest. He was playing just I'm a knight kind of thing, but I felt his scenes were pretty good. I didn't really feel there was much confrontation between him and the Doctor. It was more, Ben Miller's character and Robin that were the arch enemies and fighting to the death kind of thing like that. I felt he did a decent job, and I felt he had fun with the episode. You can tell he just had a bit of a blast playing a sort of villain of the week practically, and the robots I felt were just forgettable. It was about the same amount of interesting robots we had in the first episode of the series. I felt the villains need to step up big time this series. I think for sure. There hasn't been a really memorable villain. Even the Daleks had more memorable moments in the second episode. But I think they really need to step up their villains. But in terms of just an episode where it's a bit more light-hearted, a bit more fun. The actors have a lot more free range to actually play their characters a bit more, and it was great. I really enjoyed it. The only downfall about it is that the episode was cut in the UK. I'm not too sure about the US viewers, but this is due to a recent news story, and which basically featured in the episode, I think 2 people getting their heads decapitated, and I'm guessing the entire scene was cut out because there wasn't many actual deaths really or anything that happened. I mean, even the violence or death scenes in the actual episode were all cutaways, you know, just there was nothing really to suggest anything that he was even there. So I'm hoping that original scene was put back in and in its original content within the Blu-ray or DVD, because I just, you know, it's just a bit, I think it's a bit silly just to cut something, you know, that's you know, that was originally intended in the episode, especially if it made sense as well, or always something connected to the main story. But you know, I didn't really notice, you know, it didn't feel like there was a chunk missing or something, or a character just vanished or something along those lines. So yeah, that's my thoughts and opinions on the episode. Hope you enjoy watching this review. What are your thoughts and opinions on this episode also? Love to know. Comment down below. So in the meantime, I'm Sherwood TV. Signing out.